First story. This is the story of Excellent Wedding 812 in Offmachist. My boyfriend cheated on me with my best friend and his girl best friend, so I hooked up with his boss. My brother had to have surgery, and I wanted to be there for him. So I ended up staying for about 2 weeks. I always knew my best friend had a thing for my husband. She's admitted it multiple times, but I would just laugh it off because surely my married best friend wouldn't F my husband, right? I didn't even catch them. My husband's best friend is just so insane that she casually admitted it to me as I was cleaning the kitchen when I got back. I thought she was kidding. No, she wasn't. I asked my BSF if this was true over a phone call, and she at first denied it, then broke down sobbing and Fing admitted to it. I was so angry that I threw all of my husband's SHT into a big suitcase and tossed it on the front lawn. I locked the doors and piled a bunch of stuff in front of them, like the couch, an end table, etc., so the dumb F couldn't get in. Of course, when he got home from work and couldn't get in, he started panicking. He banged on the door and shouted for me to let him in. I just stayed upstairs with our dog and let him tire himself out. Eventually, he left, and from what I know, he stayed the night at his best friend SHT Ty's apartment. They probably fed too, all while he was crying over me. Dumbars. After a few weeks of him blowing up my phone and pleading with me, I finally let him come home, and we talked. He was sobbing and apologizing to me. He said he was a SX addict and that he needed help. I told him I wanted him to go to therapy as well as us going to couples counseling. He agreed to it without fighting. He slept on the couch while I slept in our bedroom. My best friend hadn't even made any moves to contact me or apologize for being the homewrecker she is. My husband ended up having some sort of work dinner party a week or so later that he needed to attend, so he invited me. This was the first time he'd ever invited me to anything like this. I'm pretty sure it's because none of his female coworkers know he's married. Or I'm assuming that's the case because of how shocked they seemed to be to meet me. At the dinner, his boss, 50s, was chatting with me. Newly divorced, and I asked him how that was. I made sure to ask loud enough for my husband to hear me. We ended up chatting all night, and my husband ended up scurrying off from the dinner table and telling me he was going home and telling me to get an Uber home, clearly pissed off at me. Needless to say, his boss was shocked at how he treated me, and I couldn't help but play up the sad, lonely wife bit. It ultimately ended up with us going back to his house and hooking up. When I woke up that morning, I did end up going home. Since then, his boss has sent flowers to our home, called me a few times, and my husband is completely aware of this, and now the regret is starting to sink in. The guilt and worry have started to eat away at me. The revenge felt nice, but now it's clear it's eating at both of us. I'm going to find a lawyer and start the process soon. I just needed to tell all this to someone who isn't my family because they don't even know the first detail about it. Edit. I forgot to add that when we had our first therapy appointment, he never showed up. He was going to head there after visiting his sister, who lives just a few miles from us. I sat and waited in that office for over an hour before I just went home and saw his arse sitting on the couch, texting on his phone. He knew we had that appointment that day because I texted him multiple times about it. He had no intention whatsoever to fix this, give me closure, or start fixing his SX addiction. Update. It's been a wild few weeks. We started the divorce process. SBTX moved out reluctantly, may I add. He moved in with his girl's best friend, now fiancé, and they're expecting. It's his, I think. The girl's best friend's parents found out what she did, and let's just say it's not going well. I told best friend's husband everything. He didn't believe me at first, but after I started showing him all the texts, photos, etc., he just broke down. He kicked her out, and she showed up with her SHT, thinking I'd let her move in. Long story short, I had to call the cops to get her off my property. I haven't kept in contact with the boss, honestly. He bought me a few gifts, but I politely told him no. He was pretty nice about being rejected, and told me it was worth a shot. My family found out shortly after I made the post. My Reddit post was blasted all over TikTok, and my sister actually sent it to me, talking about how wild it was, and how I had to come clean to her. I have found out many things since the process began. My husband was the cigarette of the office, being passed around by all of his female coworkers. Do you know how many apologies I've received? I'll be set for a lifetime of apologies. But seriously, why does an office have that much SX? Once the divorce is finalized, I'm selling the house and moving into something smaller. I hate big houses. I always liked small spaces. I found a cute apartment that has 1 bed and 1 bath. It'd be perfect for me and my dog. I know the divorce is going to get nasty, especially with his best friend now being his fiancé. We've already had to get a forensic accountant involved since he accused me of stealing his money and wiring most of it into my bank account. That was weird. Other than that, I'm doing good. I actually feel relieved, and I'm going to start doing things that I love doing. I'm going to get back into my book club. I'm going to start exercising as I used to. I still exercise, but stopped doing it so much because he hated girls with abs. I'm going to be me again. I hope he becomes him again and finds happiness. Truly. Also to all the dude brothers defending him, calling me a terrible wife, sending me unalive threats, vulgar messages, etc. I hope you all choke on SBTXD while you're so far up his arse. Edit. I don't know why I'm being called homophobic. I haven't said a single thing about gay people. Can y'all stop pulling SHT out of your asses? Second story. My friend is going to propose to his girlfriend, but only I know she has been cheating on him with her ex. I don't know how to tell him. TLDR. My friend is about to ask his girlfriend of 6 years to marry him, and I'm the only one who knows the truth about how unfaithful she's been to him. He's completely blinded by love, and to him, she can do no wrong. I know it might not be my place to say anything, but I don't want him to make a huge mistake. So my good friend Aaron and his girlfriend Mary have been together for almost 7 years. They met in college and are in a very close relationship. Personally, I would call them extremely codependent. Neither of them really have any friends aside from each other. She doesn't let him have guy friends. In fact, she doesn't let him do a lot of things. He's not allowed to go out past 11. He's not allowed to drink or smoke. She has to approve of all of his friends, and he's not allowed to be alone with other girls. She's got this guy on a tight leash. The reason they're still together is that Aaron is completely whipped, and to him, she can do no wrong. He talks regularly about how amazed he still is that she finds him attractive. He's a decent-looking guy, but she's like supermodel level good-looking. They post cute couple photos every day. I'm pretty sure she makes him post them, and to everyone who sees them, they appear to be the perfect magical fairy tale couple. Anyway, a few weeks ago, he told my boyfriend and me that he was planning on proposing to Mary. Of course, we congratulated him because he seemed super excited. Now here's the issue. A few weeks prior to this, I hung out with a friend of Mary, Allison. Allison told me about a party they went to where Mary got drunk and slept with her ex. After the party, they began hooking up regularly, and she had a threesome with him and a friend of his. Aaron has no knowledge of these hookups. I told my boyfriend about it because he shares my friendship with both of them, and he believes that we need to say something, but I'm not so sure how to even go about that. It will destroy him, ruin their entire relationship, and maybe a friendship as well. However, I think in the long term, he will be unhappy with a marriage where she's so controlling. Not even that, but if she's completely okay with cheating on her long-term partner, it will be the same once they're married. Is telling him the right thing to do. Edit. To clarify, the cheating has not been going on for 6 years as far as I'm aware, and the hookups occurred recently. Edit 2. Some of the commenters are calling me a bad friend for not telling him immediately. After giving it some thought and reading the comments, I have decided to tell him as soon as I can, most likely tonight, if he's free to hang out. To those saying I'm being a bad friend for waiting, this is a huge deal, and it will greatly affect the future of Aaron, and I want to make sure I break the news in the correct way. This man is blinded by love. He's not going to be expecting this news at all, and his whole life is about to change. I'm definitely not going to do anything, because he deserves much better than this woman, and he deserves to know the truth about what he's getting into if he still decides to marry her. I'm expecting a full-blown SHT storm. I'm expecting him to be hurt, angry, and in disbelief. I don't believe it's wrong that I'm asking for a bit of advice on how to approach this. Should I have told him sooner? Maybe, but what difference would a few weeks make? For all those asking, I'll post an update when I do it. Edit 3. I've talked to Aaron since I posted this, and he is coming over tonight to talk or hang out. My boyfriend and I are going to tell him together, because he knows the situation as well. A few of you have suggested I talk to Mary first to give her a chance to come clean. While that's a good idea, I'm not as close to her as I am to Aaron, and I don't see that going over well. I would much rather tell him and leave it to him to decide what to do from there. Edit 4. New information has been received from the third-party friend Allison. She has sent me screenshots of texts that do prove Mary has been involved with her ex. They send messages regularly, and he has sent her naked pics. Edit 5. In my arrogant opinion, I'll just mention that Aaron just got to our house 8 p.m. EST, and will update later if I can. Thank you all so much for the kind messages and helping me work this hot mess out. I've been stressing about this all day, but I believe I am doing the right thing by telling him. Edit 6. A quick little edit. 11 EST. We all talked for a good bit. I told him what I heard from Allison, and it went better than expected, but he was still pretty mad and upset. We are all just chilling and drinking now. I'll post the whole story tomorrow. Thanks again for all the replies. Update. So I got lots of feedback on what to do here. A good majority of the commenters told me to say something. To clarify, it may not have been clear in the OP, but I was never planning on doing anything. Of course, you've got to tell your brother if they're being cheated on. I was just not sure how to approach the situation. Some of the commenters gave me some very helpful advice. Some of you told me to talk to the girlfriend first, some of you told me to wait, and some told me to gather a bunch of evidence first, which I ended up getting from Allison, the third-party friend. Some of you guys got angry with me for not telling him sooner, and told me I was a bad friend. Some were sure he wouldn't believe me, and some predicted the girlfriend would deny it all. Well, all of you were somewhat right. Here's how it went down. I messaged Allison early on in the day, shortly after I made the post, because typing it all out brought my guilt and apprehension about the situation to the surface. I told Allison that I needed to tell Aaron and asked whether or not she had proof. This was when she sent me the screenshots of the text messages. Aaron came over at around 8. And what was great was that Allison came over too. We all sat down and talked for a bit, and we all told him our suspicions about Mary. Allison showed him the text screenshots of Mary talking to her ex, and also told Aaron all the stories she shared about her sexual encounters. What was most surprising was his reaction. He took it very well. He first got very quiet and just nodded. Aaron ended up telling us that he had a sneaking suspicion that something was going on. He was not aware of the hookups, but he and Mary had gotten into fights before over the fact that she doesn't allow him near any other girls, but she goes out and flirts with other guys all the time. He told us that she had been distant lately, and would leave rather often without telling him where she was going. There were a few other small things he mentioned that told us he was just generally unhappy with his relationship. He knew in his gut that something was wrong, but he wanted to believe it wasn't true. We started unwinding with some alcohol after that, and it all got way more emotional. He cried, talking about how he felt stupid for not seeing it sooner, and how he really loved her and would have given her anything. Then he got angry. At her, and even more so at the guy. Some unpleasant and derogatory terms were used to describe her. Ultimately, he told us that he's going to be breaking it off, at least for now. We told him a million times how much better he deserved. He's definitely not going to marry her. Thanks again to all for the supportive words and advice. We saved a good man from heartbreak. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.